friends? Maybe you've been looking at the screen and seeing that I've been playing with Play-Doh already, and I just made something to go on this friend's lap. And if you noticed, I worked really hard to keep this hand out because this hand is on her wheelchair control. Some wheelchairs have a control that you use instead of using hands on the wheels. So I wanted to keep that hand clear, but I covered up her other hand and part of her legs. It's a kind of blanket that I'm calling a quilt. Okay, oh, sorry, friend, that your head is going down on the ground. Now I'm pretending that this friend is done, and they're going to rest over here. This friend, I'm going to turn over because it's not supposed to be put your face on the ground time. I'm pretending it's rest time for this other dollhouse friend. So look at how their head is not touching the ground. I'm going to pretend that I want it to be more cozy for them. So look, oh, there's a pillow for your head. And now I'm going to make another blanket quilt. The letter of the week is Q. So when I say quilt, that's a Q word. I'll write it for you later, but first look. So I just smooth it out like a pancake, but then I'm trying to kind of make it like a rectangle or a square. So you see how I'm like pulling the edges kind of, and I'm trying to make it look like that. Kind of like a blanket shape. And then I'm going to put it on. I'm not going to cover their face because I want it to be kind of realistic, like just getting warmed up under a quilt. Oh, look, I'm going to let their feet stick out. Just your little toesies are sticking out. Good night, everybody. I hope you have a good little rest. And I hope your legs stay warm while you're out moving around in your mobility device. I just made quilts out of Play-Doh. Now, I did not do this on a soft toy. Like I didn't do it for Goodbye Goat because Play-Doh will stick on fabric or cloth or hair or like your shirts are made of cloth. So I am not putting Play-Doh on those things. These are hard plastic toys. All of this is plastic, so it'll peel off without sticking. And if it did get stuck in there, like if I pushed the quilt in on their body so much that then some of it would stick in there, I'd be able to poke it out. On Goodbye Goat or other toys, I might not be able to poke it out, and then it's hard to get off. So don't put the Play-Doh on soft things, Miss Kristen. And you friends be like me in that. Don't put the Play-Doh on your soft toys or in your own hair or in your rug or your carpet. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because we're trying to be helpful for our environment. Like try to help keep things the way that they're supposed to be for it to keep working. So this, friends, is something about what we're going to talk about today. Quilts, the letter Q, how people take care of themselves, what they like that's comforting, what they can do that's quiet. See, this friend might not need it to be quiet for what they're going to be doing because it looks like since their hand is on the control, they're ready to move around. But this friend is resting. So I feel like if I see somebody's resting, I'm going to be quieter so that I can be helpful for them. Quieter. So that's what today is. I'm going to move this out of my way for now. I'll bring back this little table soon when I do an alphabet project. But first, let me show you somebody and the letter Q. This is a friend who got a new quilt. This friend has a new quilt, and the book is even called The Quilt. So this is the friend. This is her little stuffed dog, Sally. And this quilt was not bought at a store. It tells us, not on the first page, although there's a clue about this quilt. So this opening title page, it doesn't tell us yet. It doesn't even tell us on the first page where this quilt came from. It doesn't even tell us on this page. All this tells us is that this quilt is to go up on their new grown-up bed. Grown-up bed. Like not a crib, Not a toddler bed. Maybe no railings on the side anymore. A grown-up bed. And look, they're walking and they have their Sally dog. This is the page that tells us where this came from. The first sentence. My mother and father made it for me. They used some of my old things. Here are my first curtains and crib sheet. Sally is lying on my baby pajamas. Friends, that means the mother and father of this little friend found the old curtains that used to be on the window that aren't on the window anymore, and they were done with them, so they cut them up to make a little quilt square. And they did the same thing with the crib sheet, because remember, this friend is not in the crib anymore. This friend is in this grown-up bed. So they didn't need the crib sheet anymore. So they cut it up to put it in the quilt. Sally is lying on my baby pajamas. When this friend was a baby, they had pajamas that looked like that. And now they cut up the old pajamas because they were too small and they weren't going to give them away or do anything else with them. They were going to use the fabric for something else. And they put it in the quilt. This friend is going to sleep in their new bed under their new quilt of fabrics that used to be with other things. Next page tells more. There's a shirt that they used to wear when they were only 2 years old. There are some pants, the fabric from the pants. The cloth that, so this friend's mother made Sally, the toy. And look, right next to Sally dog, there is the matching cloth. So it says the mother made Sally. So the mother would have cut out the fabric, sewed it together to make a stuffed animal dog. Well, there was some fabric left over, and it's in the quilt now. So Sally has a match. Now this friend is going to go sleep under their quilt, but this friend has a dream, and the dream has some kind of scary parts for them. So this is the part where the friend is going to sleep. Look, you can just see their arm and they're holding on to Sally dog right next to the edge of the bed. This is the quilt. And when this friend starts to go to sleep, they think that the quilt starts to look like a town. Look, the quilt looks like maybe some of those are a flower field. Maybe there's a sea with boats. Maybe some of those little squares are like the yards for houses. And look at the next page. The dream has started and it's happening. That the fabric in her dream is turning into other things. Little houses, flower fields, balloons, a lake with boats on it. Oh, there's Sally. Wait, look where Sally fell. Sally fell on the floor right next to this pink part of the bed. It's called a bed skirt, like a skirt around the edge of the bed. Sally fell down on the ground while this friend is sleeping. And this is all a dream of things from her quilt. So the balloons that were in the quilt, balloons, 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 balloons. There are the balloons right there. And then the balloons got in the dream. And here, oh, the circus part is in the dream. But in the dream, she cannot find Sally. She can't find Sally, and she's not quiet about it either. If you look at this page, you will see the exclamation point. The line with a dot after that word means she's not whispering, Sally. She's yelling it, Sally. That's what the exclamation point means. If you ever see that, that means you're reading with expression. You're saying it big. They're looking for Sally. Maybe she's here. Sally! Oh, I don't think Sally would like it here. Sally! Maybe Sally would be scared of these animals? Or because it looks like it's nighttime dark? What if someone else took Sally home? Oh, exclamation point, let's yell it. Sally! This is all her dream from the things in her quilt. If Sally hid here, I'd never find her. Sally! Look, these flower fields in her dream are the same as some of the flower fabrics in the quilt. Oh, this is the part in her dream where the friend felt a little scared. I think this tunnel is scary. I'll run through. Sally, Sally, Sally. Then there's another part that got kind of scary for her. Not yet, though. This is the water part. And this friend says, Sally wouldn't like it here. Sally doesn't like water. Sally. Now, I had a friend tell me, my dog likes water. My dog would want to go in there. That makes sense to me. But this friend's dog does not like water. This friend, maybe this friend knows, I'm not going to put my stuffed animal in the water because then it'll be all wet and it takes a long time to dry. So maybe that's why. But someone likes water. Quack, 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 quack. Quack, 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 quack. And friends, this feels so lucky. There is even one patch of duck fabric on this quilt. Where is it? Okay, it's right by the boats. That is the duck fabric. So this friend saw the duck fabric and then had a dream about it. Oh, this friend says, this is worse than the tunnel. Sally! I wonder why that's worse than the tunnel. Why is that friend more scared of this than the tunnel? I don't know. I see Sally. I see her! Exclamation point. Now, do you see Sally Dog? And if you see Sally Dog on this page, you might remember where Sally was in real life before we started the dream. Remember how Sally Dog, she fell off the bed and she was on the floor next to the edge of the bed where there was that pink bed skirt, this pink bed skirt, that part of the bed that was pink, right here. Right here. Remember when Sally fell down and they were right next to that? Look, in the dream, this pink bed part turned into the cliff. And it looked like Sally fell off a cliff. But Sally's not off a cliff in real life. Sally just plopped off the bed onto the floor. But in the dream, the friend finds her. I see her. And then it's morning. And she says, good morning, Sally. And if you take a look, you might be able to tell that both of them are on the floor. It's not just Sally on the floor. Even this friend is on the floor. I used to think, oh, this friend got Sally and brought them back into bed. But that's not what happened, because look, there's the bed and that pink bed skirt. Look, the friend went down off the bed with the quilt to be with the friend. This kind of looks like a quiet page, right? Like there's nothing flying around. They're just cuddling each other They're wrapped up in a blanket. It doesn't look like a very loud, wild page, even though it's morning. Some people like it to be quieter, even if it's morning. Some people like it quieter when they eat. I have a preschool friend who likes it to be quiet at snack time. They like it to be quieter. It's just what they are used to and what they like. So I've got 2 snacks. One of them would be a quiet snack, and the other one would not be a quiet snack. So let's take a look. I'll show you. We have these a lot at our preschool. These are sometimes called our story time snack. These little crackers. And then I have this snack, a pouch of applesauce. One of these is going to be so quiet that you maybe could not even hear me when I eat it. And one of them is going to be louder. And I think you would be able to hear me when I ate it or opened it. So you might have a guess that one of these is going to be quieter than the other one. Let me show you. Okay, I'm going to first open up these crackers and see if you can hear anything. These are a little twisty open. Okay, I don't know if you're hearing anything. Let's see if you can hear anything when I take a bite. Could you hear it? I think maybe you'd be able to hear it if you have hearing with your ears that is working enough to be able to hear those kind of crunchy sounds. I could hear it. And I could definitely hear the little crinkly sound when I was opening that bag. Now, watch when I open this. I'm going to try to do it so quietly that maybe you'll only hear the little click sound when this plastic part unhooks. I'm going to try to be so quiet. It's very hard. If I move slowly, I can be even quieter. Now I'm going to take some bites or some slurps of this and see if it's all the way quiet. I don't know if you could hear me at all. Friends, I just ate some of this and it was so quiet because the food was soft and the package, I didn't have to do a lot to make a lot of noise with it. You might be able to do a lot of things in your day very quietly. So quietly that somebody might not even know you're doing them. But here's the safety thing. If you're being so quiet that nobody can hear you and they call for you and they say, "Are you still over there?" Please answer them and say, "I am. I'm just trying to be very quiet. Did I surprise you?" And they might be like, "Yes, I didn't know where you were." So still help keep the communication open, right? So that they're not scared or wondering if there's a problem for you. All right, kids, I'm getting at my little table because I want to show you the cue and doing some journal work together before we do our alphabet project, before we have to go home from circle time. Okay, so the alphabet project I want to show you and the journal time I want to show you matches something on this real quilt I have. So this real quilt I have is going to take up the whole screen so that you can see some of the little lines on here. Do you see some little lines? Like line, stop, line, stop, line, stop, line, stop. Friends, these are the quilt stitches. The needle went up and down and up and down, and it made little thread marks. Our clothes have that as well. If you look at the edge of your shirt or on your pants where the sewing is, you will see some little stitches, some little marks of thread. And that's what we're going to draw in the journal. I'm going to use just my regular marker. I found my Q page. You can use any color you want. And here's how we're going to do these quilt lines. Now, if I do a straight line, that does not match those little lines on the quilt. For quilt stitches, I have to make little lines like this. I have to go line, stop, line, stop, line, stop, line, stop, line, stop, line, stop. And I will tell you, if your hand and writing tool don't do that, that makes sense, because this is really tricky to do. Some people like to do dots. And if you can do dots, then try doing a longer dot, a longer dot, a longer dot, a longer dot. We're making the little quilt stitches. And if we're trying to match quilters, they try to make them so small, not like dots, but by tiny little even stitches. Not like stitches from an owie, like some people get stitches if they have an injury or a cut. These are quilting stitches. Look at that. That's what I'm pretending could be on a real quilt. Quilting stitches. So when you see our alphabet project today, so I've got my bag. When you see our alphabet project today, the grandma and teacher friends helped get these ready for you. This is old paper that was from a kindergarten class. And look at those little lines, the little dotted dash lines. Those were pretending are quilt stitches. So we got to turn our Q into a quilt. Oh, and it looks like the O again, but we are not keeping it just an O. And you might notice what color it is. You might notice that it's pink. And you might notice that behind me, you can see the pink arch. Do you notice that the whole arch on top, the big one, is pink now? Because we're all the way to February. And February, the color of the month, is still pink. So I made the Q to match. All right, and here we go, friends. A dot does a lot. And look, I'm only going to do 4 dots. I did 1 on each end and 1 on each side, and I'm going to turn it over right in the middle. And if it was O week, then I would be all the way done. But it is not O week, it is Q week. And I'm making a capital Q. I'm making it to look like the capital Q, the big circle with what some people say is a tail. They call this part the tail. So I've got a pink tail to put on. And I'm not gonna put it up here, and I'm not gonna put it there. I'm not gonna put it here, even though that kind of looks like a Q. I want it to match the books, so it needs to go on this side. So that's what I'm gonna do with my glue. And I'm gonna do a line this time. A skinny little glue line. Skinny, skinny, thin, thin, and stop. That's really gonna stick. And then, friends, look. I put on the Q tail, and this is the Q. This is a Q shape. It matches the journal, it matches the book. It matches when I say quilt or quiet. That's what Q starts those letters with, those words with. And now we're going to add the quilt pieces. I'm going to do it this way. If I add some dots of glue all around the big Q, rhyme. I added some dots of glue all around the big Q. And then I just have all of these little pieces of paper that have those little quilt stitches on. Hey, look at this technique. See how this is sticking off a little bit? If I rub it around, it's like the glue gets moved around under it. That is I will call that an advanced glue technique. I can just drop it on, or I can gently slide it around. And kind of like a collage, I can put these on any way. but I'm trying to keep them on the pink. I'm trying to make it so that they're not going off. All right, friends, how many glue dots do I have left? 2, 3. And I do have 3 pieces of paper left of quilt stitches. Do a little swirly, 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 swirly. I've got 2 more left. I got a little swirly, 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 swirly. Move it around just a little bit. And I've got 1 more piece of paper left, and I have 1 more glue dot left. And friends, my quilt Q is done. Q is for quilt. Q is for quilt. The letter of the week is Q. So this week, if you ever do something quietly, if someone ever asks you to be quieter or all the way quiet, if you ever get under a blanket like a quilt, you're doing Q things. If you eat something very quietly, you're doing a Q thing. And I hope it's fun, and I hope it's cozy, and I hope you have a wonderful day. And I'll see you next time. Bye, sweethearts.